We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. And do not forget to ring the notification bell. If you want to support our independent national college football's rebel outpost with a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I will get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner. The very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. I do not see an Iowa Hawkeye anywhere in the chat. I do not see them anywhere in the studio. I guess they're not. I guess they do not want to become a legend today. Where is Jacoba Cat? Where are all the Iowa Hawkeyes? We did an episode earlier today, episode, I believe, 528, on the Arch Manning struggles in camp. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in the live show. Arch Manning being reported everywhere, everywhere that he's struggling in camp. Now, I've had some backlash to that episode saying hogwash, that ain't happening. Arch Manning, he's going to be absolutely elite this year. I think he's going to be really good this year. But again, this is a national independent rebel outpost. It was reported on that podcast, that SEC podcast with SEC Mike and Shane, Uncle Shane, or Cousin Shane, excuse me. It's Uncle Lou, Cousin Shane. So we reported it. But there's another report out there. Another report that I have not reported on yet. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Dave Ravenzine from the Big Ten Network at the Iowa Hawkeye practice today says, all of that to say, it was a rough day for the Iowa quarterbacks, particularly Hecklinski, who struggled with the turnovers. But he played well in open scrimmage, and coaches said it's been essentially a dead even in camp. In talking to coaches, sounds like there may not be a clear-cut starter for week 1 for your evil Iowa Hawkeyes. Remember that Jeremy Hecklinski report that he threw all the what was he? 17 and 25. He threw 5 touchdowns in a scrimmage. He was the next Joe Montana. And now he's in a dead heat with the other guy, and the other guy can't throw a ball past. Anyways, welcome on in. I appreciate everybody coming on in. It's Monday, August 24th. A beautiful day to talk college football. We are going to go well beyond the struggling quarterbacks at camp. There has been some named starters. One of them is surprising me. Is a surprise to me. First, we are going to go to Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Big, massive super chat. Thank you so kindly, sir. All the way from North Carolina. Preston, $20. Holla. Yesterday, you said the North Carolina State football brand was a level and a half bigger than UNC. The athletic value of UNC football, 26, versus North Carolina State. UNC has higher TV ratings. UNC has a healthy head-to-head advantage. What metrics were you using? The one inside this cage. I wasn't using any metrics other than to say I do believe there is a more interested eyeballs on North Carolina State football versus North Carolina. Now, some of the numbers are skewed because of Bill Belichick, and that's fine. Bill Belichick has put a lot of eyeballs on North Carolina football. No question about it. I do think it's going to run. I think that ship is about to sink. But as you know, in my hot seat rankings and all the issues that are going on. So Yeah, North Carolina has a bigger football TV ratings for a particular year. But the people who are interested in going to the football games, and I believe if you talk to ACC opponents, if North Carolina State is being played versus North Carolina, I think North Carolina State definitely has the edge in football. Overall athletic brand, North Carolina is recognized. North Carolina is not only recognized here in the United States, but internationally. North Carolina has the bigger brand. North Carolina is the most valued brand in the state of North Carolina, and they are the belle of the ball because of more than one reason. Athletically, academically, research, the public school in the state of North Carolina, a fast-growing state, a state that does not have SEC or the Big Ten flag implanted in it. But overall football, yeah, I give it to North Carolina State. I give it to North Carolina State. You probably disagree. But that's fine. We disagree here at Peek Around the Corner. It doesn't mean that's going to remain because look, Bill Belichick, look what he has done. For 1 year of eyeballs, 1 year of interest. And who knows? Maybe North Carolina comes out there and punches TCU in the mouth. Maybe North Carolina goes 9-3 this year. Maybe North Carolina goes 10-2 this year. Maybe North Carolina goes to the playoff this year. Maybe North Carolina says to North Carolina State, football, we dominate you in football as well. And then the fans start coming more and more to the football games and all that good stuff. But yeah, right now I would give more than a slight edge to North Carolina State football. Just like I would give Virginia Tech football the brand, the value over Virginia. But the overall value and what people are interested in, especially in conference realignment, I would give UVA the edge. More than an edge. So anyways, I appreciate you coming on in, Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. I appreciate the $20 holler. And I do appreciate when you disagree with me. I would only say this, Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. We are going to be making our picks against the spread tomorrow. Greg the Gold is going to be here tomorrow. And I am going to be wearing the gold. And I'm going to be making the picks. You guys are going to be making the picks. And Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm giving you the warning right now. You better be in the chat room. And you better corral the other voters in the chat room. And you better follow my lead. I'm going to pick first. I'm going to pick the first 7 games of week 0 first. And then you guys are going to follow up. And you better absolutely imitate me. I've been often imitated, but never duplicated. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, you got to get everybody together. And not only do you have to imitate me, but you got to duplicate my picks if you all think you're going to stay up with me. Because I'm going at least 5-2 week 0. The picks is tomorrow. So buckle up, everybody. That is a big time warning. Buckle up. Buckle up. Preston from Greensboro. We'll see what you say. No. No. Just duplicate it. Don't think. Because I'm going to do the thinking for you. All right. Christopher Hooter, $2 holler. Thank you so much, Preston. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so very kindly for your support. Christopher Hooter, Always a rough day for the Iowa quarterbacks. But that defense, as I said, Christopher Hooter, I'm not worried about Iowa this year. Look at that steady hand. Not a twitch. It's not moving. Look at that steadiness. Look at that thing. That is how I am not nervous a bit about Iowa versus Minnesota. There is no nervousness whatsoever. All right? All right. Iowa is going down this year to the beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. Daniel Gorby, $5 holla. In Norvell's week of press conference meeting with reporters, he was standing because the seat was too hot. Daniel Gorby. Now, I look at the conversations that are going on X. I saw John D., who's a PATC family member who used to call us a lot. I hope he does again one day. He's talking on X about how he hopes that Florida State can go 9-3, that they can go 10-2, and that they keep Mike Norvell. You know, you got this competition in your brain if you are a Seminole fan. I do not want our team to lose, but I don't want Mike Norvell to keep his job. But if we win, Mike Norvell keeps his job. If we lose, Mike Norvell loses his job, but again, we lose. It's a hard thing going on in the Seminole fan base. We are going to be going over a report, an article written by Ross Dellinger on who is on the hot seat going in to 2026. And we are going to start off our show with that, so stay tuned. And yes, Mike Norvell is in the article, so we're going to be reading about that. Daniel Gorby, I know you, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe Mr. Daniel Gorby, PATC family member, has the Mike Norvell countdown clock happening. My question to you, Mr. Gorby, is name me 3 coaches in the chat room. Or give us a call later in the program after the monologue. Name me 3 coaches that you would like to see on the list for the athletic director to poke and prod, have them on the hot board 1.0 Seminole head coach list. Name me 3 candidates. 3 candidates. And I think we may be going through some of those candidates in that Ross Dellinger article, and we're going to be going into it in a moment. Thank you, Daniel Gorby. Thank you for the $5 holla. We've got the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, the evil Badger himself. I was just talking about the evil Hawkeyes. So the evil Badger walks into the studio. Evil Badger. When this evil Badger beats Greg, the freezer, it'll be for entertainment purposes only in the weekly picks. Evil Badger, if the Badgers beat the Gophers, if the evil Badgers defeat the glorious Golden Gophers and win back the axe, I will sing on Wisconsin while eating a cheeseburger. I will do both things at the same time. I will eat a cheeseburger while singing on Wisconsin if the Badgers defeat the Gophers. But it ain't going to happen. It ain't gonna happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Badgers, the Hawkeyes, the Cornhuskers, all being laid down in front of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. It's happening. This is going to be a very special year. Maroon and gold. Thank you, Eva Badger. Thank you for the $5 holler. I appreciate it, my friend. Very much, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Eva Badger is still very optimistic. Mike Loxley, please. D5 Terps. Don Scruggs. The South has had several meetings about walling off Florida from all this real estates. Wow. TCU Irish eyes will be smiling in Dublin, Ireland. Go Frogs. Go Frogs. We're ready. King Frog, we are ready to go. UNC TCU watch party this coming Saturday. I'm going to say about 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 10:30 a.m. Central Time. Go check us out. We're going to be doing a watch party. We're going to have a lot of fun. UNC TCU. It's going to be a blast. Absolute blast. Can't wait. Cannot wait. I cannot wait. It is going to be incredible. The season is going to start off. Dante's Inferno Purgatory. Greg the Shaky Hand Flugar. Marianne with the shaky hands. What she does to a man, those shaky hands. Great song. That was well before most of you were even born. Winter is coming. No. Nope. Oh, we've got the Razorback. We've got the Razorback. Elvin Gully. $2 holla. My favorite Big Ten team, anyone, playing Illinois. Does that have to do with the head coach of Illinois? You know, the head coach that went from Arkansas, got fired at Arkansas, and now is the head coach at Illinois. Could that have anything to do with the head coach? Let me know, Mr. Gully. Daniel Gorby, thank you for the $2 holler, Gully. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you, Mr. Razorback. Daniel Gorby, Florida State coach possibilities. Charlie Weiss, Brian Haynes. Yeah. Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen is going to be listed quite a bit. I think he's going to be talked about quite a bit because UNLV is going to have a good season. I don't know if they're going to be the G6 representative into the playoffs, but I think they're going to have a pretty good season. And then that UNLV Memphis late Saturday night, big game. Daniel Gorby, that looks like a good list to me. That looks like a good list to me. Dante's Inferno Purgatory, the Who sellout album, 1967. Marianne with the shaky hands. What she done with her man, those shaky hands. I would sing you the rest of the song, but we got a college football YouTube channel to run here. Thank you, Dante's Inferno Purgatory. Dante's Inferno Purgatory he just went up a few notches when it comes to the PATC Einstein list within the family. Purgatory is number one right now. MGC Sooner. Greg the Freezer has already fast froze that awesome quarterback. You know what? Let's get into that story because I don't think, again, we did an episode on it. Not many people watched the episode. That's fine. I know you guys got busy lives. I know you can't sit here and listen to the fat guy in Minnesota talk college football all day long, even though that's what I do. I talk college football all day long, but you guys have got lives. You got very healthy lives. So we are going to get into that in a moment here, but I do want to go through the program real quick. You can see here the SEC contest, the beauty pageant. Self-governance looked like it's a winner, and the competitive breakaway is the runner-up. But as she says, when she sees the crown being put on the head of self-governance, competitive breakaway says, for now. So we are going to get into the story. There is going to be, as Ross Dellinger describes it, an unusual gathering, a meeting tomorrow from the SEC presidents, chancellors, a two-day meeting to explore the possibilities, the option of self-governance within the conference. And of course, you got all that stuff going on, swirling about, can the Southeastern Conference, are they going to make it so LSU and other SEC teams cannot take a player formerly playing at another SEC school that went up to the NFL and had an NFL camp and then got cut, was on waivers, got out of waivers, and now going to go back to a college football program? What is the SEC going to do? All of that is happening while the SEC is going to have an unusual gathering tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about the hot seat, Ross Dellinger's hot seat. And then we're going to go through there's a gentleman on X who does an incredible job discussing all the issues on self-governance, possibility, what would have to happen. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that as well. But let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to do the roll call. I do want to thank everybody for joining us. I very much appreciate it. I'm very humbled that we have 85 people in here on a beautiful Monday, August 24th. Thank you very much. If you enjoy our content, please smash that like button. It helps us so very much. Now, Don Scruggs, again, Don Scruggs saw Dante's Inferno Purgatory rise up to the top of the Einstein list of the PATC family. So then Don Scruggs knew that he had to come in here with a very excellent and accurate comment. 2026 Drake, the Great, will make Minnesota great again. So Don Scruggs, even though you did not quite rise to the level of Dante's Inferno Purgatory, right now you are the runner-up in this beauty pageant, PATC beauty pageant. Thank you, Don Scruggs, for that excellent comment. Elvon Gully, yes, Brett destroyed our program. Okay. Now it's time for Coach Silverman to bring that proud program back, right? The Razorback fan base is a great one, an electric one, a fierce one. And they've gone through some bad times lately. But bad times do not last, Mr. Gully. So let's go. KJ Jackson was just named the starter for the Arkansas Razorback. KJ Jackson is the starter. Look at this one. True freshman. 5-star true freshman Fajon Brandon is the starting quarterback at Tennessee. Wow. Wow. Holy smokes. I did bet on George McIntyre. But again, George McIntyre, we went through it when we did the breakdown, the spotlight of Tennessee. Fajon Brandon was a much higher rated quarterback coming out of the class a year after George McIntyre coming out of his class. And McIntyre could not fend him off. Fajon Brandon, the starting quarterback of Tennessee. Wow. With Josh Heupel, the quarterback whisperer. Woo! Man, oh man. And then you got Lonergan. I'm a little surprised by this. Rutgers has named fourth-year quarterback Dylan Lonergan the school's starting quarterback, and he'll debut for Rutgers against UMass on September 3rd. I thought AJ was going to be the man finally at Rutgers. It did not happen. I thought AJ Sarasi was going to be the guy, but it went to the transfer quarterback, Dylan Lonergan. And then, this does not surprise me. This one doesn't surprise me. I am incredibly excited for this. Florida has named Georgia Tech transfer Aaron Philo its starting quarterback. So, I'm going to give out a warning to Don Scruggs. I'm going to give out a warning to Edward the Auburn Tiger. I'm going to give out a warning to Evan Gully. I'm giving out a warning to every single SEC, PATC family member out there. Aaron Philo and the Florida Gators are a-coming. They are a-coming. I get it. The name Aaron Philo does nothing for 95% of you in the chat. Does nothing for you. But watch when you see him throw the pigskin. It's on. It's on. Aaron Philo, the Florida Gators. My goodness. Woo! The storylines, look, there are going to be storylines created in this college football season that you never saw a coming. But one of them, the Aaron Philo Gators, no. You can't say that you were not warned. You can't say that you were not warned. I am the coward of the county. I am the coward of the county. I made a fundamental mistake. Let me show you. I got the Gators at number 6. I should have had them at number 5. I should have the Florida Gators at 5. And I didn't know that Fajon Brandon was going to be, I didn't think he would be ready. I got all the respect in the world for Josh Heupel, what he does with that offense and the quarterback. I should have Tennessee at 5 or 6. Alabama and Oklahoma both of them should be knocked down a notch. Or at least one. I should have Tennessee above Alabama and Oklahoma. And I should have Florida ahead of Texas A&M. Oh, well, you know what? I recognize my error right now. I recognize it. All I have to do is, no, I'm going to make the adjustments in my picks against the spread, and everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be just fine. Look at this massive 5 gifted memberships from the incredible, edible, the Oklahoma State Cowboy, Bill G. 5 gifted memberships. Steven, Tyler Buck, Ahmed A. Sloan, Aristotle, and Pretty Knoll Girl TV all were gifted a membership by the incredible, generous Bill G. All of you, please, if you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Bill G for his, once again, generosity to this program and to all the PATC family members. Give a thank to him, because now all of you are united officially. College football, cloak, and dagger. You can go to a library of episodes, watch all the episodes, including members only early P Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Bill G. Thank you once again for your support to this program, this growing program. We keep it alive. We do not take any sponsorship money. We only rely on you guys, and you guys have been so incredibly generous. I do appreciate it. We're able to do this every single day. Thank you, Bill G. Oklahoma State Cowboy, Bill G. And Bill G, he has not held it against me. I don't think MBM has held it against me yet. They may early in the season. If the Cowboys trip up, if the Cowboys lose a game that they believe they should not have lost. But in my early preseason prediction, I had the Cowboys at number 5, but I had to move that up. I had to move that up all the way to number 3. All the way up to number 3. And the main reason I did that was Drew Mestemaker in practice, in camp, has absolutely looked stellar. Unlike another quarterback down in Austin, Texas. And his name is Arch Manning. How concerned should Texas fans be about Arch Manning's struggles? Tommy Breezy from Longhorns Wire, SCC Mike, cousin Shane on that SCC podcast. We're talking about it yesterday. Arch Manning is missing wide open receivers in camp. We did an episode on this. He has not been efficient. You can go watch episode 528 after this live show. Now, again, people are telling me, you can look at the comments under that episode. We got a few people telling me, look, Greg, you're falling for it. This is anti-Longhorn propaganda. Arch Manning is just fine. He's going to be just fine. I think he'll end up being great. I got the Longhorns going to the national championship game. But there's something that has to be said when you get in all of these reports that Arch Manning is missing wide open receivers. He has not been efficient. So at the end of this article, so how concerned should Texas fans be? I'd argue there's little reason for genuine concern, but good reason for more attention on Manning over the next 2 weeks. The Texas offense, as they did in scrimmage, will always create explosives. Manning's accuracy and efficiency could deliver Texas a national championship. The next 2 weeks need to be more efficient for Manning. But until it's inefficient against Texas State or the Ohio State Buckeyes, I'd save your panic. All right? Okay, I guess we should not be panicking. But in the same reports, if you go listen to that SEC podcast by SEC Mike and Cousin Shane last night, you will hear both of them say, per sources, that the young quarterbacks at Texas, the freshman quarterback at Texas, they have been sharp. They have been excellent. And yet Arch Manning is missing wide open receivers. And I said in the episode earlier today, I think Arch Manning, look, I think he's very talented. I think he's going to end up having a great season. And I think the Longhorns are going to be very tough out in the playoffs. But I also believe after watching last year, after watching Arch Manning get off to a slow start, fast finish, and now another slow camp this year, I believe that Arch Manning, again, this is speculation. It's just me being a amateur sports psychologist. I think he loses his swing like a golf swing. If you lose your golf swing, some of you good golfers, you can find it back really quick. You can get back to it. A guy like me, when I lose my golf swing, it can take me months and months and months to figure it out. What am I doing wrong? I got so many golf keys. I got so many keys to my golf swing. Everything has to go right for me to be able to hit the ball the way I want it. I think Arch Manning loses his swing. He loses his mechanics. And it's tough for him to get it back real quickly. So, is it time to panic now? No. But if he's missing wide open receivers against the Texas State Bobcats, by the way, the Texas State Bobcats have a quarterback in Brad Jackson. He had a phenomenal season last year. Now, for whatever reason, the head coach, who's a promising head coach at Texas State, that offense seems to always be humming. But that defense at Texas State can't stop anybody. We'll see what Texas State does in the new Pac-12. But that offense with Brad Jackson, watch Brad Jackson versus Arch Manning. And if Arch Manning is not showing any type of sharpness in that game against the Bobcats, what do you expect to happen against the Buckeyes in week 2? The Texas Longhorns coaching staff, the Longhorns fan base, the Longhorns boosters, the SEC, everybody has incredibly high expectations for the Longhorns, and they should have. Now it's time to meet those expectations. Coach Sarkisian, the Longhorns, it's time to ride. And Arch Manning's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. So we're going to find out. Again, there are going to be unexpected storylines in this season, and that could be one of them. All right. So we will get to it here. Buckeye Greg. Thank you, Buckeye Greg, for coming on in. I appreciate it, sir. Good friend of the program. Greg Disney Adventure, a member for 33 months. My goodness. You are hereby officially knighted cloak and dagger of college football, Buckeye Greg. Go Buckeyes. As always, thank you for your friendship, Greg. Greg the Gold could make multiple appearances this year, but we will see. We will see. No. You cannot have that doubt, Buckeye Greg. It's happening. It is absolutely happening. And again, as a reminder to everybody, every live show is an important show. Every live show is a special show. But tomorrow is going to be really special. Tomorrow we are going to do our picks against the spread. And I've had 4 years of losing. Only in year one did I get off to a good start. First week of the season, I did great in year one, and then it all went pear-shaped on me. Year 2, disaster. Year 3, disaster. Year 4, I was hovering around 500 for most of the year, and I finished 92 and 94. You PATC Einsteins, you all went 92 and 94. So this year, I have this belief. We've done the work in the off season. We've done all those spotlights. This year, I think the PATC Einsteins will finish above 50% winners. And yours truly, I'm going beyond 60%. It starts tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of fun. 7 games on the docket. 7 games on the docket. We are going to get it done. Hold on, everybody, for just one moment here. Hold on one moment, please. Okay. Thank you, Buckeye Greg. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you for becoming a member for 33 months. Holy smokes. We've got Helmer Hennessy, $2 holla. If Arch can't do it, give the water boy a shot. Hammer Hennessy. Here's the question, Hammer Hennessy. They're not going to put, look, Arch Manning is going to be the starter against the Ohio State Buckeyes, no matter how he looks against Texas State. I think all of us can agree on that. But what if Texas loses to the Buckeyes? And what if Arch Manning doesn't look good at all? Does Sarkisian give Manning the hook right after week 2? No. But at some point, Sarkisian, if he has to, and I don't think he will, I don't think he'll need to, but at some point, Sarkisian has to choose this program for this year and himself over Arch Manning. If he has to, he's got to do it. If he has to, he's got to make the big move. But let's everybody settle down. We had a report. We had to report this. This is what we do in this national live show in our episodes. But we'll wait. We'll see how Arch Manning looks against Texas Tech. But I thank you for the $2 holler, Hammer Hennessy. Thank you very much, MBM, Oklahoma State Cowboy. Drop Texas out of the top 5, Greg. It's not too late. First of all, MBM, thank you for becoming a family member for 23 months. Once again, you are knighted officially college football's cloak and dagger. Thank you, MBM. Now, MBM is saying it's not too late. Get them out of your top 5. Get them out of your top 5. It is too late. MBM, I run a tight ship here. This is the official preseason top 25. I cannot change it. I cannot put Texas out and put Oregon in, or take Texas out and put Don Scruggs' Georgia in, take Texas out and put Ole Miss in, or put the Red Raiders or the Cougars in. I got to leave it alone. Now, again, the next top 25 rankings is going to be CFB PATC Week 1 top 25. Going into Week 1. And again, you're not going to see many changes on that, right? You probably won't see any. Maybe some. We'll find out how USC looks like. We got them at number 12. They play San Jose State. There might be a couple of changes. But after that Texas State game, Texas versus Texas State, we will make the call at that point. But again, just reports. Arch Manning is struggling. I know we got some Longhorns in the PATC family. They're probably ready to punch out the TV screen, or they're ready to throw their phone. Replica is probably just shaking his head at me saying, Greg the Cooler. He's fallen for these reports once again. We shall see. Okay. Now, Georgia ranked 7th. You all know how to trigger a redneck. You'll have time to move up, Don Scruggs. You will have time to move up. Go Black 45. The next Manning has to go to Tennessee or Ole Miss next. I hear the next Manning is really, like, the hype machine on the next Manning is going to be even way higher than on Arch Manning. So, that is the buzz. I think he's a freshman in high school this year. That is the buzz. Bill G, Georgia looking formidable again this year. Yeah, they are. But I just got to see that offense be a little bit more smooth. I would like to see a wide receiver number 1 elevate. I would like to see the Georgia Bulldogs give the rock to Nate Frazier to the point that Nate Frazier becomes Georgia's Kewan Lacey, or Georgia's Jaden Baugh. I mean, they've got to treat Nate Frazier like Florida treats Baugh, like Ole Miss treats Lacey, like Auburn is going to treat Jeremiah Cobb this year. I got to see that first. And Don Scruggs knows that I know that he knows that I know that we both know I'm spitting out truth here. The Georgia Bulldogs offense has got to get to that next level. And if they do, then they can win the whole damn thing. But I got to see it here. I got to see it. All right. Something going on here. Let me change this. Hold on. There we go. I can see. All right. Oh no. Mireya Hernandez Garcia Vargas Rojas Flugar is in the chat. The moderator, who rules with an iron fist, says hello. Hello, honey. Hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing fine. I believe she's on her walk. Something that I should be doing right now, to be quite honest with you. But here I am, chopping up, talking college football with the rest of you heathens. Thank you, honey. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for giving us this time, all the time that you give us to talk college football, the sport that we all love. Thank you, Maria. Stay safe, get home, and just get home. All right. Jose says, good afternoon, Mireya. Don Scruggs, sorry, Greg, I didn't hear anything but George's selective hearing by Don Scruggs. Jose, you could walk and rant like Rock does. I could do that. I could hold my phone up and do a walk and rant for 10 minutes. Absolutely. 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 All right, let's get on to it. This is one of those articles that gets published at this time every single year. And we talk about it every single year. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. Coaches on the hot seat. Florida State Mike Norvell, UNC's Bill Belichick among the college football bosses who need to win now. Now. At this time last year, the experts predicted quite a busy coaching carousel. But even the most aggressive prognosticators couldn't have seen the onslaught of the 2025 hiring cycle. More than 30 FBS coaches transitions, including 17 in the power leagues. Wow. And then it names out the coaches that moved. Every cycle has a blue blood gig or two that, if open, could create a domino effect of movement. There are two. There are Jose's USC and Daniel Gorby, Morris Simmons, Florida State. Rod Nix, Florida State Seminoles. I would not put USC at the same line at Florida State. I do not. I think Lincoln Riley is not going to be on the hot seat this year. But again, expectations are much higher for the Trojans, and if Lincoln Riley does another 7-5, 8-4, yeah, he probably will be in trouble. So, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. It talks about other coaches that would be coaches that people would look at to hire if they should have to fire their coach or they lose their coach. Dan Mullen, UNLV, Jason Eck, New Mexico, Sean Lewis, San Diego State, Canada, UConn, and there are others listed. There are plenty of accomplished high-level coordinators, right, at the Power 4 conference level. You've got Kane Womack of Alabama that everybody's talked about for the last couple of years. Arthur Smith, Ohio State. Blake Baker, defensive coordinator, LSU. You got the offensive coordinator, Buster Faulkner, that went from Georgia Tech to Florida. You got Matt Patricia, Ohio State. Charlie Weiss Jr., LSU. Glenn Schumann, Georgia. Cade Bell, Pittsburgh. Andy Koltanicki, Kansas. Dan Brock, once again, Notre Dame offensive coordinator. Dawson, offensive coordinator, Miami. Mike Shanahan, Indiana, offensive coordinator. So, we look at the hot seat. Let's just go to the hot seat here. Hot. Mike Norvell, Florida State. First one listed from Ross Dellinger. Buyout $45 to $50 million. School administrators thought long and hard about dismissing Norvell last season. A 5-7 campaign that followed the 2-10 debacle of 24. The fan uprising was loud enough that the administration released a statement in support of Norvell, but let's be real. Much of that support is derived from the cost of such a move. Florida State spent around $400 million on facilities renovations. The buyout at the time was more than $50 million. No doubt he's on the hot seat. Mike Norvell. Ross Dellinger lists next. The evil Badger, Luke Fickell. Buyout is $20 to $22 million. Not all that much money. Not all that much money. Fickell did wonders at Cincinnati, but he's never gotten it going in Madison, in part because the university didn't jump into NIL with both feet. Wisconsin administrators have acknowledged that fact, and last year made the decision to invest in the roster instead of paying Fickell's whopping buyout. Athletic director Chris McIntosh, the man who hired Fickell, left in an unusual move to be the Big Ten's Commissioner Tony Petitti's deputy. Former Nebraska and Miami athletic director Sean Eskarsh is now presiding over the department and soon have a difficult decision if Fickell doesn't greatly improve his 17-21 record. We're going to learn a lot about the Badgers early. They play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at Lambeau Field on September 6th, the Sunday of opening weekend. And we have Peak around the corner. We are going to be doing a double watch party that night. Louisville and Ole Miss, the evil Badgers against the Fighting Irish. 7:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Central Time. Come join us Sunday night, double watch party. We're going to have a great time. Another coach on the hot seat, according to Ross Dellinger, Dave Aranda, Baylor. Buyout $9 to $10 million. On what seems to be a perpetual hot seat for 4 years now, Aranda is facing a different kind of pressure this year. He has a new boss who did not hire him, just like Luke Fickell. Aranda's stint in Waco serves as another example of a university slow to transition to the NIL world. Just look at the wins by year. 2-12, 6-3, 8-5. This year, the Baylor Bears brew with confidence behind new quarterback DJ Legway. Again, we're getting all these reports on how great DJ Legway has looked in camp. We're going to find out when Auburn and Baylor in Atlanta, the first full Saturday of college football, Mike Locksley is on the hot seat. Locksley's run at Maryland hasn't been unimpressive. A native of the DMV area, he has mined local high schools for talent and has landed solid portal players. However, his teams continue to falter when the calendar turns to October. Since 2023, Maryland is 11-2 in September, 3-19 in October, and November games. Think about that. Since 2023, 23, 24, 25, Maryland is 3-19 in October and November games. The pressure is on. The schedule is tricky. A loss at UConn in week two could spell the eventual doom for Locksley's tenure. Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State. My, oh my, Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby, $8 to $10 million buyout. A former Oklahoma UCF coordinator. Lebby followed a 2-win opening season with a 5-win year 2. That could have been so much better. The Bulldogs blew a second-half lead against Texas. That was an epic game. Florida and Tennessee during a frustrating season for all involved. Can Mississippi State secure its first winning season since Mike Leach presided over the program? Young quarterback Kamario Taylor gives hope to the staff and fan base. But the schedule is brutal. Check out this slate. The Bulldogs are on the road for consecutive weeks against the glorious Minnesota Golden Gophers and the South Carolina Gamecocks before hosting Missouri to close out September. The October slate is a gauntlet. Alabama at LSU, Oklahoma, and at Texas. Woo! Bill Belichick, North Carolina, on the hot seat. Buyout 10 to 12 million. The Belichick experiment is still in the early phase, but it might be getting late early in Chapel Hill. The results don't bode well for the future. On and off the field, the school suspended general manager Michael Lombardi. Defensive coordinator Steve Belichick is out with personal matter. The Tar Heels get a prime time spot to kick off college football in Dublin, Ireland. Week 0 game against TCU. The country will be watching. And so will first-year athletic director Steve Newmark, who most certainly wants to see an improvement in progress from year 1. Can the Tar Heels show it? They play at Clemson. They host Notre Dame, Miami, and Louisville this year. And then you got the warm seat. I'm not going to go through these one at a time, but Lincoln Riley on the warm seat. Okay, I can see that. If things don't go well, but I think they will. But we'll see. Shane Beamer, definitely on the warm seat. Most definitely. He's 16 and 24 as a SEC head coach in SEC play. All right, so again, it's an article that's always produced at this time of the season. We go over it here at Peek Around the Corner. Let me know what you agree on, what you don't agree on Ross Dellinger's hot seat list. Again, we produced stars before for week 0. We just did this about a month ago. PATC's hot seat list is number 1, Mike Novell. He was on Ross Dellinger's list. Luke Fickell, he was on Ross Dellinger's list. We've got Mike Loxley. He was on Ross Dellinger's list. We've got Dave Aranda. He was on Ross Dellinger's list. And we've got Bill Belichick at number 6. He was on Ross Dellinger's list. We have Shane Beamer on the hot seat list. Ross Dellinger has Shane Beamer on the warm list. That's the only difference between us and Ross Dellinger. We produced this about a month ago. All right, so put down your comments. Let me know what you agree on, what you don't agree on. Nick Kelso, another Razorback in the house. Surprised Aranda is still the head coach. Mama Duck, South Carolina. Again, a Clemson Tiger has to give an elbow to the South Carolina Gamecocks. They have to do it. South Carolina has problems finding coaches who want to come there. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. What do you think about South Carolina getting Brian Kelly? What do y'all think about Brian Kelly going to Columbia, South Carolina? I don't think that would work. But I think Dan Mullen would. I think Dan Mullen might be the prize candidate for South Carolina. Because I do believe that Beamer is not going to be the head coach next year. We'll find out. But I think South Carolina is going to be disappointing. They've got Nick Harbor. They've got Lenore Sellers. They've got Dylan Stewart. But they don't have an offensive line once again. They brought in Kendall Briles. It's going to be a quick passing offense. They're going to try to make the offense to where the offensive line does not have to hold their block for very long. And that's good. That's all good. I think, I don't blame Beamer for that. They got to, once again, have a new offensive scheme for Lenore Sellers. I just think at the end of the day, none of it is going to work. And I think Beamer is going to lose his job. We'll find out together. All right. Ross Dellinger. Put up some interesting post on X discussing the SEC's unusual meeting for tomorrow, Tuesday. You can see here on the title screen, you got a beauty pageant. You got the lady self-governance versus competitive breakaway. The crown is being put on the head of the beauty pageant who is Miss Self-Governance. The competitive breakaway beauty pageant loses and comes in runner-up. But she does say, for now, the self-governance lady holds the crown. What does that all mean? Ross Dellinger reports the following. The SEC presidents and athletic directors will convene in Birmingham on Tuesday for a 2-day meeting scheduled weeks ago, centering on an exploration into a conference-only governance model. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. The focus, for now, is on self-governance and not a competitive breakaway. The focus, for now, is on a self-governance and not a competitive breakaway. Ross Dellinger. Already seen as an unusual gathering, the meeting now takes on more significance as the SEC leaders meet at a time of unrest. They must grapple with the eligibility situation, where LSU may be violating the league's intra-conference transfer rule and NCAA policy banning pro players. An unusual gathering takes on more significance. The SEC must grapple with the eligibility situation, Lane Kiffin, LSU, versus the intra-conference transfer rules of the SEC and the NCAA policy banning pro players. The meeting's original intent, again, Ross Dellinger. The meeting's original intent focuses on the move to create conference-only rules and enforcement on transfers, eligibility, the cap, etc., as a way to avoid the legal challenges. For now, most view this as a governance breakaway and not a move to compete only against its own members. Again, it's for now. Ross Dellinger uses the phrase for now. Again, for now. This is a governance breakaway, not a compete-only breakaway. And I think the big one Yeah, you've got the transfers, you've got the eligibility, but it's the cap. If you're going to do your conference-only rules and enforcement on the cap, I think that's going to be the most explosive one. Like the SEC is going to have to look at their own members and make sure that everybody is going by the rules of whatever cap number they put out. And they've got to be able to trust who they're ever playing in the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC, that those schools are not going above the SEC cap. And I don't know how they're going to know that. It's the cap that's the one that's going to light everything on fire, in my opinion. And then Ross Dillinger says the following. It is not clear, but unlikely, that substantial decisions will be made on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, this is a 2-day meeting. The meeting is expected to feature presentations and serious discussion on both the continued effort to pass federal legislation and self-governance, which is a top priority for many SEC presidents and athletic directors. Again, there is that continued effort to pass the PCSA, the Protect the College Sports Act. Now, before we get to your comments, before we get to your phone calls, I just wanted to show Scott Snyder, who does a great job explaining all of this to everybody on X who are willing to listen. I think, I would suggest you follow him at EdLawDude on X. This is what he says about the self-governance piece of these conferences. Scott Snyder. There is no silver bullet, but this is undoubtedly the most sensible path forward. I think it's obvious to anyone with a pair of eyes at this point that the conference is increasingly the most defensible and administratively competent level of governance. It is the level at which meaningful competition is organized, the relevant institutions sharing recurring competitive interests, and rules can be tailored to actual conditions rather than imposed nationally across fundamentally different enterprises. Again, Scott Snyder. As I noted last week, Alston expressively left individual conferences free to impose independently whatever rules they choose. Conference action remains subject to one, of course, but it permits a more particularized rule of reason inquiry that is substantially better posture than defending a uniform national restraint across institutions with radically different economics, missions, and competitive interests. More fundamentally, in a legal environment being reshaped simultaneously by antitrust litigation, employment law, and state legislation, a decentralized conference governance is simply a better institutional design. It allows rules to be adopted, tested, revised, or abandoned at a manageable scale rather than requiring the NCAA to produce a single national answer before either the law or the underlying economics has stabilized. And then finally, at this point, I'm absolutely convinced that the conference governance should also produce better administration. Conferences can build a factual record, issue written eligibility determinations, provide expelled internal appeals, enforce rules consistently, and adjust quickly as the terrain changes. They also have more flexibility to channel legal disputes into appropriate vehicles, declaratory actions, targeted intervention, and concrete challenges to actual conference decisions, rather than allowing emergency litigation against the NCAA to make national policy by default. None of this requires abandoning the national championships or baseline athlete protections. It simply places most substantive rulemaking at the level best positioned to act quickly and explain its choices, defend them in court, and be held accountable when those choices fail. Long overdue and a harbinger of things to come. Scott Snyder. Okay. I agree with all that. I do think there is this problem, though. This looming issue. Whether it be eligibility rules, transfer rules, I think most importantly, the cap rules. The SEC is going to have, I can understand that theory. Governance that is closer to you is more effective. It's like government. Government closest to you is more effective. That doesn't mean we don't need a federal government. We do, but most of the issues, most of the governance should be closest to you as possible. I agree. The Alston case clearly shows that the courts are going to give conference governance way more credibility than the governance at the NCAA national umbrella level. I think we can all agree to that. But at the ground level, boots on the ground level, I think the problem is going to happen where the SEC is going to be going along and governing themselves. There's going to be good times, there's going to be hard times, and hopefully they can figure it all out. Same thing in the Big Ten, same thing in the ACC, same thing in the Big 12. But how does the SEC trust the Big Ten? How does the Big Ten trust the SEC? How does the Big Ten and the SEC trust the Big 12 and the ACC? How does the ACC and the Big 12 trust the Big 10 and the SEC? How does the Big 12 trust the ACC? How does the ACC trust the Big 12? And then what about Notre Dame? Is the SEC and the Big 10 just going to trust that Notre Dame is keeping to a cap number? You've got the Big Ten who's looking after each other, right? They're looking at each other. You're going to have a commissioner. You're going to have your own board. You're going to have your own enforcement arm. You're going to be looking at Maryland. Maryland, you can't be going over 60 million, whatever that cap is. You're going to have Michigan eyeing the Buckeyes. You're going to have the Buckeyes eyeing Michigan. Same thing in the Southeastern Conference. You're going to have Alabama looking at Tennessee. You're going to have Tennessee looking at Florida. You're going to have Florida looking at Alabama. You're going to have the coaches talking, the athletic directors talking, the presidents talking. You're going to have meetings to set up disputes, to figure out the disputes. What about Notre Dame? What about Notre Dame? Who's going to be looking out after Notre Dame? Oh, Notre Dame is. Everybody's going to trust that Notre Dame is not going to go over the cap number that they put out. Everybody's going to trust. Alabama don't trust LSU. LSU don't trust Alabama. But Alabama and LSU are going to trust Notre Dame. Michigan doesn't trust Ohio State. Ohio State don't trust Michigan. But Ohio State and Michigan are going to trust Notre Dame. So yeah, self-governance is the winner. The crown is being put on our head. Competitive breakaway is the runner-up. And I hope the competitive breakaway never becomes the queen of college football. Never, never, never. But I also think competitive Breakaway beauty pageant, who came runner-up, I think she is correct for saying, for now. For now. All right, we'll get to your comments, your phone calls. I hope you enjoyed the monologue. Don Scruggs, I would have trouble looking in the Big Ten in the eyes. All I would be thinking about is get your damn number right. Come on, man. MBM, college football needs a commissioner, and I vote Oregon. Marcus Williams, Mama Duck. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a conversation. College football needs a czar. BYU football. None of the contenders will ever get punished. So why doesn't the Big Ten govern the SEC and the SEC govern the Big Ten? Christopher Hooter, $2 holla. Thank you, Mr. Purple and Gold. I appreciate it, sir. I gather that the SEC is bearish on PCSA becoming law. I think all of them are, but I do think there is a lot in the PCSA that they wish they could pass without some of the other stuff. In articles today by Ross Dellinger and others, the SEC is still trying to get that. They're still trying to get that passed. They support it. I forget who. Yeah, it was South Carolina's athletic director. South Carolina Gamecocks athletic director came out and said today that the SEC is still trying to get that passed, but knowing that there's going to be amendments to it. And we also have to basically work on what we're working on when it comes to potential self-governance. Something to that. He alluded to all of that. South Carolina Gamecocks athletic director. Thank you for the $2 holler, Christopher Hooter. Very much appreciate it. We are going to go to your phone calls here in a moment. I'm going to just check out if there's any breaking news. Northwestern did name Aiden Childs as the starting quarterback. Not a surprise, Aiden Childs named starting quarterback for Northwestern Wildcats. We also reported earlier on this live show that that the 5-star true freshman Fajon Brandon beat out George McIntyre. Mr. Brandon is going to be the starter for Tennessee in 2026. Wow. And Lonergan was named the starter for Rutgers. To me, that is a surprise. And then Aaron Philo, the named starter for the Florida Gators. We reported that earlier today. We're going to go to your phone calls right now. The phone line is open. 763-260-1333. You know how this works. If you give us a call, the floor is completely yours. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. Super chat is the same way. All the other comments, I will pick and choose depending on the interest, the creative writing, and if it's relative to what we're talking about on today's show. I appreciate all of you coming in. The phone line is open. We've got OBD done 33 months. Holy smokes. OBD done, purple and gold. A member for 33 months. You, sir, are hereby knighted officially college football cloak and dagger. Go to a library of episodes, watch them all. OBD done. I appreciate it. Opie says, the for now women is already trying to switch the mild sauce for the nuke option. Yeah, I should have added some salsa bowls out there on the stage. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. What OBD done is referring to is a live show earlier done in the month of August, where Greg Sankey was trying to find a bowl of salsa to dip his big chip in. And it was the green verde salsa, the hot salsa, and then the nuke option, the very hot salsa. The self-governance on a few particular matters, that is the mild salsa. And that looks like to be the winner. For now. The thing is, I was never a real believer in that extreme competition only silo could happen or would happen. But this is a first step to getting there. Like, if they do this, and if it doesn't work, not because the Southeastern Conference can't self-governance, but if it doesn't work because they can't trust anybody, they believe they have the evidence not to trust anybody, that nobody is governing themselves like the SEC is truly governing themselves, that the SEC is the only one that has the true enforcement arm, that the Big Ten is not using their enforcement arm. They're just doing things differently, that the SEC is the only one taking it seriously. Now we have that nuke salsa that OBD Dunn just referred to, that option that is sitting over there, like the Georgia president, he wants to go to it right away. Competition only breakaway. It's sitting out there. Now that option isn't going to win the day today, like we kind of mentioned, that we did mention in our live show. We believe the mild salsa was going to be the one that Sankey wanted to dip his chip into. And it looks like they're going to dip it in there tomorrow, or at least that's going to be the start of dipping the chip. Nothing official tomorrow. But like Ross Denlinger reported, an unusual gathering by the SEC presidents and chancellors. A 2-day meeting, not a one, but a 2-day meeting on self-governance. Woo, boy. Thank you, OPD Don. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much, sir. I do want to thank Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, Christopher Hooter, Daniel Gorby, Eva Badger, Evan Gawley, Bill G, the incredible edible Bill G, Buckeye Greg, Helmer Hennison, MBM, Christopher Hooter, and OPD Dunn for your generosity. Appreciate it, helping us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Thank you very much. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Troy Bank and Trust is now the official jersey patch for all of 16 of Troy athletic programs. It's the first of its kind jersey patch deal at the group of 6 level. So Troy is the first G6 football program, athletic program, that has made an official jersey patch sponsor. And Pete Thamel is reporting 4 years and $2.1 million. Big numbers for a G6 school.
From
Jose, fight on.
Jose, fight on. What's going on, sir? Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Hey, go for Godfather. How you doing? You got
I'm
the
doing
scoreboard
good.
ready to go?
Look, tomorrow is our picks against the spread for week 0. I have been telling you guys for months that this is going to be the redemption tour of Greg the Cooler, and now it's going to be Greg the Gold. And I think I'm going to provide enough evidence tomorrow for all of you to walk out of tomorrow's live show shaking your head and going, yep. The fat guy from Minnesota was telling us the truth. It ain't going to be no more Greg the Cooler in the studio. It's going to be Greg the Gold. Tomorrow is a big, epic day in college football's PATC. What do you got to say about that, Jose?
I was gonna say, and I should have mentioned this earlier on. You would have had more time, but you should have had one of those introductory vignettes like the WWF used to have back in the day when they introduced the heel before they even set foot in the ring. They would have like a month or 2 month long vignettes of just little backgrounds of what Razor Ramon does back in Miami or wherever he was from, and Ted DiBiase, what he was about and what he was going to accomplish when he came in. You should have had that for Greg the Gold.
Yes.
Just little snippets there of what Greg the Gold's going to come and do, and he's going to debut and take over.
Yes.
So with the SEC dipping into the mild sauce, do they already have bylaws? Kind of like where Tony Petitti was able to enforce a game suspension for Harbaugh. Is that something that they need to delve into and expand it? Have they been working on that, or is that something
that
they're just going to
They have because Ross Dellinger reported that to us. That every conference every single year, or almost every single year, they change the bylaws a little bit here, a little bit there. They adjust it, and then they announce those adjustments usually in the spring. Ross Dellinger pointed out, and he made sure to point it out to us, that the SEC did not make any changes to the bylaws, and that they were working on this self-governance model if they ever have to happen. So they've been working on this other thing. So in a self-governance model, the SEC bylaws is going to have material changes. It's going to have big changes to it, right? So
right.
They haven't officially changed anything. They might not have the things incorporated in the bylaws right now, but that is part of the self-governance model. They're going to have to change that bylaw. They're going to have to make it bigger. They're going to have to make it thicker. It's going to have more things in it, and then everybody's going to have to sign off on it. Right?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be more than I don't know. Is it just a memorandum of understanding, or is it like a contract where they sign and agree, and then they all have to also come to agreement? What's the punishment going to be? Not just the bylaws, but all of them agree. How are we going to reprimand programs that do not abide by our bylaws? You know, are we
Bylaws,
talking fines?
yeah.
Are we talking?
Bylaws do have some sort of, this is your punishment, and this is the authority that can hand it down to you. Some authorities are given to the commissioner directly. Some authority is given to a council of presidents within the conference. Like, I know that's how it is in the Big Ten. So there are some things that Petiti can do on his own. There's some things that he can't do on his own. There has to be the head council of presidents in the Big Ten. So the SEC, I'm sure, has the same thing, or, you know, at least resembles that. But if you're going to do your own self-governance, that thing's going to have to be tightened up, right? I would imagine. So
Another thing would be also adjusting existing bylaws, such as if a player wants to transfer out, you would want to retain 4 or 5-star talent and almost 180 flip it to where instead of they can't transfer to another program within the league, they should have the option of staying within the league. If we go to a model where they're students of the university, but independent contractors of the conference or the conference entity that they create, for example, say Big Ten Enterprises, being an independent contractor of that extension of the conference, it should be almost flipped. You would think the SEC would want to retain that talent unless they all agree that, yes, you can only transfer within our league unless it's something egregious like, you know, I don't know, DUI or something. And then all the schools would agree, okay, no, this student really shouldn't, nobody should be taken, he shouldn't be allowed to transfer from Mississippi State to Kentucky because of the reason that Kentucky's not going to retain him. They should have little footnotes or, you know, asterisks saying you must stay within our league to retain talent unless, you know, A, B, C, and D. And even if it's not something egregious, if it's just a student that's not, I don't know, eligibility, like they're not keeping up with their academics, you should afford him the opportunity then if all the schools come to a consensus. That would be like exception E or exception F, where, okay, you have to stay within our league unless there's some kind of academic issue, there's some kind of extracurricular issue where really nobody should be bringing him in. Or maybe the student just, you know, isn't a good fit and he says, I really don't feel like this is, you know, whatever, parents, I don't know. That's something that really they should look into. Retain the talent, you know, flip that rule 180 to where right now I think it's currently you cannot transfer within the SEC. They should flip it so you have to stay within the SEC unless you've done something to where you shouldn't be playing in our league, period, for any school.
Wow.
Kind of like gambling. Like if there's a gambling issue and Kentucky cuts their quarterback, and then Mississippi State's like, well, we don't want him, and LSU's like, well, we don't want him. We don't think he should be playing with the SEC.
I think it would be difficult to. I think it would become more difficult to attract student athletes into your conference if you have to sign out that as a student athlete you can't transfer out of the conference, though.
But if they come to the SEC, they want to be in the best league. They want to be in the premier. If someone goes to the SEC, they want that patch on their jersey.
But if the Big Ten has it to where, yeah, you can transfer out, that one-time transfer rule where you can transfer out of the conference, I don't know.
And that could be one of those things, because not all the leagues are going to have or should have all the exact same rules, and that might be something that could vary from conference to conference or league to league. You know, and if you want that SEC patch on your jersey, if you want the NFL scouts looking at you, then you better abide by the SEC rules. Or, you know, if you want to come here, you know, because, you know, the SEC leads in NFL draft picks. If you want that opportunity to go pro, you come to our league, but you better play up to our standards and not be gambling, not be doing this, that, and the other, because, you know, you have to stay in this league because you want to be in this league. And that's the other thing. You want student athletes that want to be in your league. And if they go to the SEC, there's a reason for it. But that's just something that I think that it would behoove the SEC if they could just flip that and then maybe modify it to where there is an opportunity to, maybe purge out students that, I mean, there could be schools that it's a bust. It's a 5-star flop. He didn't really pan out, and he really isn't cut out for playing in the SEC. And then nobody else takes him. And maybe that's the thing, kind of like a free agency waiver wire. You're like, all right, well, we're going to transfer the student. This student wants to enter our SEC transfer portal. Nobody else picked him up. He's now a free agent. Now he's free to go to any league that he wants. He can go to the Big 12. He can go to the ACC, whatever. Kind of like a waiver wire. And then if nobody picks him up, put that in the bylaws. In that situation, he is free to just transfer to another league if he wants to.
Okay.
And nobody wanted to pick him up. All right, but that's all I was thinking about Go for Godfather. Thank you so much. Fight on.
That's interesting, sir. Beautiful call. Beautiful call. Very interesting. Interesting. There's going to be a lot of interesting discussions within that 2-day meeting at that unusual gathering, as Ross Dellinger has called it, and meetings in the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC. I don't think they're all going to look exactly the same. I don't think so. Very interesting.
From
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. How you doing, say? How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing okay. I think that Ross Dellinger, man, he's on it. He has his pulse on the SEC, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how does this affect expansion or possible conference shuffles? You come up with these, we're going to self-govern.
Well, it could. I mean, if you're going to expand, if you're going to bring in a university into your conference, you better be able to trust them. You better be able to be convinced that they will toe the line, that they're coming in, and they better follow the rules within the SEC. Right?
Well,
LSU.
That's what I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
Does it accelerate things? Like, look, this is what we're doing. If you want to come, you need to be.
Yeah.
You need to be a part of this now. We're all going to jump together.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, jump. Right? I don't know. Right? Because it's another.
It's all connected.
Right?
It's all connected.
Yep. So that was just sort of my thought. Well, here we go. There's nothing but issues, right? And here's another issue. Okay, so if the SEC is obviously soured on the Protect College Sports Act. They don't believe anymore.
Oh, I mean, I think there are parts. I think they're still supporting it to a certain degree. Yes.
Well, if they were bullish on it, they wouldn't be huddling.
Well, no, I mean, they've been again. They're not going to stop planning on do they think it's going to pass? Probably not.
Right.
But they're going to set a plan B. They've been setting a plan B for quite a while. So
this isn't a phone. This is not a Zoom call. This is everybody's coming in, right? We're all flying in for 2 days.
Yes.
Well, that tells me this is pretty serious, right? If it was just let's have a huddle, they would just they would Zoom it and be done with it. But the idea that the presidents and the athletic directors, not just the ADs, right? So
yes, it's an unusual gathering. Yes. Yep.
It seems to me they wouldn't be doing it if they weren't doing it. So
yes.
SEC
presidents and athletic directors. Yes. It's up on the screen.
I had to kind of go back on your. I had to kind of go back on your tape. Did he say ADs or did he say presidents and ADs? It's both.
I got it up on the screen. SEC presidents and athletic directors, ADs, will convene in Birmingham for 2-day meeting.
And that's probably a big deal to pull off to get the chancellors of the presidents there. That's probably a big deal.
Yep.
So when is the Big Ten going to do the same?
Now, because it hasn't been reported, it still might have already been done. I don't know. But we've gotten a lot of indications that the Big Ten is following the same track. So if this doesn't get passed, there's going to be massive changes in college sports landscape. And this is going to be the leading one here. Where the conference is going to take back some of their sovereignty in decision making on rules and enforcement because of basically of the Alston ruling and the Ivy League ruling in the courts.
Well, can the Big Ten or whoever goes first, can the next conference copy and paste it, or it needs to be a little different in order to pass the smell test?
Great question. I would suggest it probably has to be a little bit different.
And does that mean the cap?
The cap better look close to the same. That cap is the one that's going to ignite a fire at some point, in my opinion.
How are you going to know what the true cap is, right?
Well, the SEC is going to know what their true cap is. But are they going to know what the Big 12 true cap is or the ACC true? It's like knowing what is going on in your own conference is going to be difficult enough. But if they all keep talking with each other, the presidents, the athletic directors, they could possibly get all that to work. But how can the SEC possibly believe that the Big Ten is doing everything correctly, that the ACC is doing everything correctly, that the Big 12 is doing everything correctly? I mean, how can they possibly? They're not going to know. I mean, if they're not going to, they're going to know less in the going in their own silos of what the Big 12 is doing. They're not going to know more. They're going to know less. So this is a very dangerous game that we're playing here. Even if we're dipping our chip in the mild salsa, it's still at some point going to burn, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so it's not just rules. We're all going to have a little different rules. It'll be close, but a little different. It's enforcement. Do we trust the other guy to enforce? Can we enforce internally?
Well, you are going to enforce internally.
Well, can you? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
Is the SEC really going to tell Bama what to do?
You better, or it does. Or, I mean, you have to, or it doesn't work at that level either. But I'm saying, right, even if it works at that level, that's not enough. You got to be able to trust the other conferences. So I don't know how that's
and they're not going to trust the other conferences unless you cut a deal and maybe the Big Ten governs some Big Ten committee governs the SEC and an SEC committee governs the Big Ten. Right? If you kind of did something weird like that.
Yeah.
Or you've got the other conference gets to sit in on your enforcement group meeting just to make sure you're doing things copacetic, right? But okay, but if the rules are different, how do you even compete against each other? We have different rules. We have different caps.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we live in interesting times. Okay. Yes. All right, man.
I
enjoying the show.
Sir. Great call,
I'll
sir.
talk to you. Yeah. Bye.
Evil Badger, $5 holla. Evil Badger Ryan Willie. Once a player signs a pro contract, NFL or CFL, they shouldn't be eligible to go back to college. Isn't there some... there is some NCAA rule on that already, right? Bracket Cat says, should have been an automatic no-brainer already. Bill G says, Ryan Willie, why confuse the discussion with logic? But I thought there was some sort of rule on that. And the NCAA makes a distinction, like a baseball player, an NCAA baseball player, not that Wisconsin would know anything about it because they don't have baseball, but if a Minnesota Golden Gopher player, can't they sign a minor league contract, get drafted, and they continue to play baseball at the collegiate level? I think there are some exceptions, or am I getting that all wrong? But an NFL contract, I thought there was a rule on that. Somebody let me know. Thank you, Evil Badger. Thank you for the $5 holler. Very much appreciate it. Greg, do you feel the same about professional bucket players in Europe playing college hockey as well? I think there's exceptions. I don't know. Again, I don't even know what the rule is. Does anybody really know what the rule is right now? I don't know. If there is not a rule, Go Black 45, that says an NFL player can't, if there's not a rule that says an NFL player can't, who signed a contract, who's gotten paid, can't come back to college football, then it's against the rule. If there isn't a rule, then I would have no problem with it, other than they should set up a rule. And it's not, look, the Minnesota Golden Gophers got a kicker who was at the Baltimore Ravens camp. Now, he did not, like, I don't know if the Golden Gophers are doing anything different than LSU is right now, to be honest with you. So this might be against the rules. And if it is, then LSU is going to have to give up I think they would have to give up on this. And the Gophers would have to give up on a kicker actually being able to make a field goal this year, once again. Hockey, I think there's exceptions, but I'm not, at this point, Go Black 45, I do not know what up is up and what down is. Evil Badger, $5 holler. If I would be able to boot two schools from the Big Ten, they would be the Michigan and the Rodents to the west, Michigan or Minnesota or Michigan. You can't boot Minnesota out of the Big Ten. You can't. Because if you did, we would take the axe with us and we would bury it to where you cannot find anything. Remember, Golden Gophers do not run from a fight. We bury ourselves in a hole. We can bury the axe to where you will never be able to find it again. Never be able to find it again, Evil Badger. So you can't kick us out of the Big Ten. Thank you for the $5 holler, Evil Badger. Appreciate it so very much. Appreciate it so very much. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are going to lock it up for the day. I think we are. We did not get too many phone calls. Once you declare for the NFL draft, you forfeit your remaining eligibility. Interesting. They're eligible to be drafted in return if they don't sign by July 21st. No, once they are signed, they are ineligible. Well, look, hopefully someday we will get this all figured out. But it ain't going to be today. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on a beautiful Monday, August 24th. Another great day to talk college football. Tomorrow, it starts. Tomorrow on our live show in late afternoon, we are going to be making our picks against the spread. Greg the Gold versus the PATC Einsteins. You all going to vote to see who the PATC Einsteins take in the 7 games in week 0. I'm going to be making my picks. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. The true start of the college football season. Our prediction show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. These are the 7 games that we are going to be making our picks. Buckle up and brace for impact. UNC TCU. San Jose State USC. North Carolina State Virginia. Jacksonville State North Dakota State. Hawaii Stanford. New Mexico State Florida State. And Memphis versus UNLV. So that is what we're going to do tomorrow. Plus all the other breaking news, everything else we cover in college football. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for those who donated to this program to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Thank you for the phone calls and the comments. Until tomorrow, until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.